Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope your day and your weekend are going very well so far. NFL Week 2 is officially here, and with another week of NFL football comes another edition of Sunday Night Football. Got a pretty solid matchup this weekend as well, with the Chicago Bears 1-0 facing off with the Houston Texans 1-0 in Houston, Texas. And I got some picks to go ahead and share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. At the time of recording, we are just shy of 87,000 subscribers. Our goal is to get to 100K before the end of the year. A lot of people are saying we can't do it. I think we can, but we're going to need your help if we're going to get there. So if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. So like I said, guys, we have a good game ahead of us here with this Bears-Texans matchup. Rookie number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, going up against last year's rookie quarterback darling, C.J. Stroud, in what should be a fairly entertaining game. The spread is at 6.5. The over-under is set at 45.5. And like I said, guys, I have some picks to go ahead and share with you guys. I have a pick for the spread, a pick for the total, an anytime touchdown scorer pick, and a 3-leg player prop parlay in today's video. Speaking on that anytime touchdown scorer bet all season long on every Sunday Night Football video here that I do on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel, we'll be doing a Amazon gift card giveaway on those anytime touchdown scorer props. All you have to do is go ahead and comment the last name of the player that I go ahead and select. So later on in the video, I'll remind you guys when I give you guys that prop to go ahead and comment the last name of that player down below in the comments. And if he scores a touchdown, if the prop cashes, one lucky commenter who comments his last name will receive a free Amazon gift card. Like I said, I'll be doing this all season long. Last week, we had Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown score, -110. That did hit, so we did have a winner last week. So shout out to @MMA_mermaid who won last week's Amazon gift card giveaway. You have won a free $15 Amazon gift card. We'll go ahead and get that over to you. So if you didn't win last week, no worries. We'll be doing it every single week throughout the NFL season, all season long. So without any further delay, guys, let's dive into today's picks. All right, guys, starting off today's video, our first pick for this weekend Sunday Night Football matchup. We're targeting the spread here. I'm going to go ahead and rock with the Texans here, -6.5. We're going to go ahead and jump into the outlier screen to go ahead and show you guys this pick here. We're getting it from -108 on DraftKings. However, it is obviously available on virtually every sportsbook for varying odds. As always, guys, please make sure to shop around for the best sportsbook odds available here. So, yeah, I'm running with the Texans here, the favorite here, -6.5. Sometimes picks like this scare me when it seems too simple, it's too logically sound. Sometimes it's when you go ahead and fade the pick because it just makes too much sense. And while I was doing the prep for today's video, I was a little worried about this because this pick seems far too easy for me. It seems far too simple to go ahead and just grab it. Now, I'll be honest, I don't love the point line at 6.5 points. I'd love it if this was down a little bit lower, but I do think Houston should be able to go ahead and win this game by a touchdown or more. There's a few reasons why I like this pick. Let's start off with the obvious here. C.J. Stroud, I think, is already one of the top 10 best quarterbacks in the National Football League today. And the Texans went ahead this offseason and absolutely loaded this team up. They are loaded. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz, a solid offensive line led by one of the best tackles in the league in Laramie Tunsil. This Texans offense is absolutely loaded. And on the flip side, the Texans defense isn't all that bad either. I wouldn't say that they're a top 10 defense or a great NFL defense. And actually, the more and more I think about it, the Texans actually do probably have a top 10 defense in the NFL. This team is pretty solid across the board. This is what happens when you have a rookie quarterback and a smart GM. Shout out Nick Caserio for doing a good job, former Patriot, building the Texans. They built a fantastic team here. They went ahead and spent their money wisely. They loaded up the roster where they needed to, and they're really good at all the key positions. Really good at all the key positions. Houston, this team is a clear contender in the AFC. Honestly, and this might be a hot take, and this might be buying into the media hype, I think this team might even be the second best team in the AFC behind Kansas City. I know Baltimore might have something to say about that. Buffalo, the other teams in the AFC might have something to say about that. I really do like this Texans team. I'm buying into the hype. Now, Houston didn't cover the spread in Week 1 versus the Colts, but that was a weird Week 1 game. It felt like a trap line to begin with. Those AFC South division games can always be a little weird. Those teams, I guess that's true for all division games. These teams are familiar with each other. They know each other. They play twice a year at least. Sometimes if you play in the playoffs 3 times, they know each other very well. Those games are typically always tighter than most people think. But the moral of the story here, guys, is I do really love this Texans team, especially coming now at home in Houston in primetime here. I feel like this is a spot where C.J. Stroud absolutely dazzles. Now, on the flip side of this, you have the Chicago Bears rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. And look, although the Bears did win their week 1 matchup versus the Tennessee Titans, I don't think anybody's really thinking, wow, that was an incredible performance by the Bears. It feels like the Bears were lucky to escape there with the win, and honestly, it mostly feels like the Titans blew that game more than anything else. This is not to say the Bears are going to be a bad team this year. I don't have faith in them. I do think that Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback, and it takes time for these things to happen. Look, speaking about C.J. Stroud, it's very funny we're talking about this game here, because C.J. Stroud last year was a bit of an anomaly. Got tongue twisted there on the word. He was an anomaly last year with the Texans. It doesn't normally happen where you have a rookie quarterback come in and he's just lightning in a bottle right off the bat. Normally it takes time. Rookies struggle. Even NFL legends like Peyton Manning had a really rough start to his career before he figured things out. So yeah, Caleb Williams did not look good in week 1, but that's not to say that he's going to be bad all year long or it's going to take a long time for him. It's just going to take him a little bit of time. The Titans defense actually is a lot better than people give them credit for as well. All that being said, though, I just don't think this is a really good spot for this Bears team. You have a rookie quarterback who already struggled as it was in his first start, now going on the road at Houston against a Texans team that is loaded on both sides of the football, and a quarterback who right now has it figured out, loaded weapons, everything you could think of Houston has. They got the running back, they got the line, the receivers, they got the quarterback, they got a good defensive line, they got corners, a good linebacker play. The Texans are really good across the board, and that's not to say the Bears aren't too, because the Bears are very talented as well. Solid defense. Their defense won them the game last year, actually last week. A really good defense, right? They have their own super weapons. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet. I mean, they're loaded too. DeAndre Swift at running back, a decent offensive line, right? The Bears are also a really solid squad. But the moral of the story here, guys, is that the Texans are a significantly better team than the Titans. The Bears got lucky to go ahead and escape with a win last week, and they actually even covered the spread. They were lucky to do that because the Titans are just not that good of a team. Will Levis is nowhere near the quarterback that C.J. Stroud is. The mistakes that Tennessee made in that game, I do not believe Houston will make this game. And I don't know how Caleb Williams is going to play. He didn't really inspire a lot of confidence in me last week. I think this is someone who's going to take some time getting adjusted to the game. He finished 14 for 29 passing last week. Not very good. And now you're going up against a team that's better across the board. They have a better offense, a better defense. In prime time, on the road, just a really bad spot for a rookie quarterback, even a rookie quarterback as highly touted as Caleb Williams. And again, I think Caleb Williams is going to be fantastic in the NFL. You know, a lot of overreaction to that week 1 performance, but I do think it's warranted to at least be cautious on on the Bears early in the year while Caleb Williams is still trying to figure things out. I think people thought just because they had all these weapons, he was going to get it all figured out. He's going to click right away. It's going to take time. Even with all the weapons, he's a rookie quarterback. He's going to need the time. And so with all that being said, my rambling just going on and on and on here, I do think the Texans are clearly the better team and the better spot. You got a rookie quarterback coming to you in prime time, national television, the lights shining literally and figuratively, very bright down on Caleb Williams. And I do think this early in his career, this early in the season, those lights may shine just a little too bright for Caleb Williams here. So I do like the Texans here at -6.5, although it is a higher spread. The Texans obviously didn't cover the spread in week 1. I do think we're going to see a much better performance out of them here in week 2. And one thing that I do like to see here, guys, from a public betting standpoint, now again, you can't always go off of public betting data because it's only a part of the picture here. If we go into the outlier screen, I don't know if you can see if my camera's blocking. I'll still, try and see if you guys can see it. Now, the public betting data here for this game. Now, 69% of the bets are on the spread. So the public seems to be all over Chicago, probably thinking, you say the Texans, they didn't cover last week. They escaped with a 2-point victory against the Colts. The Bears, they beat, although they didn't play great, they still escaped with a 7-point win over the Titans. They probably see the 6.5-point line. I think it's too many points. So the public seems to be all over the Bears. Again, nearly 70% of all bets are on Chicago, but 87% of all the money is on Texans -6.5. What does that tell us? That tells us that the sharp bettors, the professional bettors, the bettors who have a lot of money invested in this kind of stuff, the guys who are putting tens of thousands of dollars on these games, they have their money on Houston. The big money seems to be on the Texans, while the general public seems to be on Chicago. Normally speaking, now it's not a complete science, not 100% of the time, but normally speaking, when you see this discrepancy, when you see a massive number on the bets, but a massive number in the opposite direction of the money, typically you go with the sharp side here and go with the money. So I do think we have some steam behind us here with the Texans -6.5. And coming off of that, guys, our second pick in this weekend slate for Sunday Night Football, we're going to go and take the under here at 45.5. Now, this is available on FanDuel for -105 odds here. Also available again on multiple sportsbook for varying odds. And look, guys, these primetime unders are cashing at alarmingly high rate over the last couple seasons. I think it's something like 60% hit rate over the last 3 or 4 seasons. These primetime unders. Obviously, this past Thursday night, under cash, the under cash last Sunday night. So these primetime unders are been cashing at a very high rate, especially in the first month of the NFL season. And it makes a lot of sense. There's no preseason. A lot of these teams, well, there is a preseason, but a lot of these teams don't really participate. A lot of the starters don't play. There's only 3 weeks now, opposed to the former format of 4 weeks, right? So a shorter preseason. The starters really don't play that much or at all even. So these first couple weeks, you have a lot of these teams trying to figure things out on the go. And I think it's a big reason why you see across the board, the offensive numbers are down compared to years past. Last week, I think it was only something like 4 or 5 quarterbacks had over 200 passing yards last week. It was really abysmal. The numbers across the board. There was only like 30 touchdown passes or 31 touchdown passes in total from all quarterbacks last week. I think like 4 years ago it was like over 60. So these early unders are the safer bet, especially in prime time. The line is set at 45.5, which is a pretty decent line there. I do like the under. Again, I do think Caleb Williams will struggle a little bit here. His first primetime game on the road against a very, very good Texans team. I don't see Chicago scoring a ton of points. They scored 24 points in week 1, but all those points, or I should say the majority of those points, specifically in the touchdown department, came from the defense. And again, defense and special teams. I don't think you're going to see the same mistakes happen here against Houston. You're not going to see pick sixes and block punt touchdowns and stuff like that versus this Texans team. Chicago struggled offensively. They had 0 offensive touchdowns last week. And, I don't think they'll necessarily do as bad, but I don't think they're going to be able to score many more offensive touchdowns on this Texans defense. And on Houston's side, who did score 29 points last week in their win over the Colts, you are facing a Bears defense that is pretty tough. Although, yes, you're loaded. You have all the firepower in the world. This Bears defense is pretty solid. I expect the Texans to go ahead and be a little bit on the conservative side here with the passing game. Stroud threw the football 32 times last week. I expect it to be somewhere in the same range again this week. I don't think they're going to be throwing the football 40 times on this Bears defense. If anything, I could go ahead and see both sides leading into the running game, which obviously will move the clock a little bit faster. Will slow the game. Well, it'll slow the game down, but burn more clock. Joe Mixon had a lot of success rushing last week versus the Colts. And looking at the Bears defense, their run defense specifically, the Titans had a pretty successful day, 5.3 yards per carry as a team. And Tony Pollard in particular, 82 rushing yards on 16 carries. They had some success running the football on this Bears run defense. So I could see Houston once again. Joe Mixon had 30 carries last week. I could see them leaning into the ground game again like they did last week a little bit. And on the Bears side, maybe giving DeAndre Swift some more carries and not relying on Caleb Williams to throw the ball a ton in a spot where he may not be totally comfortable. From a data standpoint, there is a lot to go off of here. The Chicago Bears, 80% underrate in their last 10 games at this 45.5 line. You see, just twice in their last 10 games have the Bears cashed this over 45.5 line. You're going to go back to December 31st of last year versus the Falcons in what was a 37-17 win for Chicago, And then prior to that, you go back to November 19th versus the Lions in what was a 26-31 loss for the Bears in that game. Besides that, they covered the under in this 45.5 line in every other game over their last 10 games. And the data is also really good here for the Texans side of it. 7 of their last 10 games dating back to last year, they have cashed this under 45.5 line. The only games where they didn't, week 1 versus the Colts, they actually cashed the over. Total 56 points in that game last week. January 13th versus the Browns, 45-14. That was obviously the playoff game. And then you go back again versus Cleveland again on December 24th, 36-22. So these are 2 teams with very high cover rates on the unders over the last 10 games dating back to last season. And the insights provided by Outlier, the under has hit in 6 of the Houston Texans' last 9 games at home. So a lot of great data here, guys. Really solid spot overall. And for minus 105 on FanDuel, really good bet there. All right, guys, in our anytime touchdown score bet for this Sunday's game, I'm going with Tank Dell here, over half a touchdown. That is available on plus 210 on FanDuel, plus 180 on DraftKings. Also available plus 175, plus 162, and plus 100 between Caesars, Underdog, and Prize Picks, respectively. And I like the value here for the number here. Tank Dell was second in the team in targets last week against the Colts. More targets than Stephon Diggs even. It feels like CJ Stroud, at least in the beginning, until him and Diggs get more comfortable with each other, he's relying on those guys that he had a good repertoire with last year, being Nico Collins and Tank Dell. He and Tank Dell had a really strong connection last season prior to Tank Dell getting hurt. And coming into this game, I know he was second in targets, but technically speaking, Tank Dell's kind of like the third option in this offense, right? I would say Nico Collins is probably 1. Stephon Diggs is 2 or 3. Him and Tank Dell are kind of interchangeable at that 2 and 3. But I think one of the benefits of having all these weapons in this offense now is that it pulls some of the defensive pressure off of guys like Diggs and Tank Dell. You saw Stephon Diggs last week, 2 touchdowns versus the Colts. I think Tank Dell is due for at least 1 touchdown here in this game versus Chicago. From a data standpoint, he had cashed it in 5 of his last 10 games. He actually had a good run there where 4 straight games he had cashed the over before getting hurt in the December 3rd game versus the Broncos. And overall, he had a 55% hit rate on this over last year. 6 of 11 games last season, Tank Dell cashed the over in touchdowns, averaging 0.64 touchdown catches per game. With a 55% hit rate overall, and he was still very high in team targets, second in targets last week, I think for plus 210 on FanDuel, it's really, really good value for an anytime touchdown score prop. So go ahead, guys, and comment Dell down below. And if this prop hits, one lucky commenter will be selected to win a free $20 Amazon gift card. All right, guys, all we have left here is the player prop parlay to close out today's video. But first, before we dive into the parlay, I do have to give you a quick word from our friends at DraftKings. By the way, guys, this 3-leg player prop parlay will be on DraftKings, so you can go ahead and use the special offer to go ahead and ride with the parlay here. When you use our special link down below, DraftKings is giving our Guy Boston sports community a very special offer. Bet $5 using the link down below and get instantly $250 in bonus bets through DraftKings. DraftKings is essentially giving you guys free money to go ahead and put more picks down like the ones we're handing out in today's video. Today's 3-leg parlay is plus 288 odds, so you can go ahead and use these bonus bets and throw it right on this parlay and go ahead and make even more money off of the free money. And DraftKings is not stopping there. On top of this special offer, they're also giving you guys 1 month of NFL Premium, NFL Plus for free. That's right, guys. All you have to do is use the special link down below in the description, and this offer will be available to you. Bet $5, get instantly $250 in bonus bets, and get 1 month of NFL Plus for free. Special thank you to DraftKings for partnering with us for today's video. All right, guys, jumping right back into the outlier screen, guys. Again, this is a 3-leg player prop parlay plus 288 odds. The first leg of our 3-leg parlay, we're going Joe Mixon here over 59.5 rushing yards. Again, it's available for minus 215 is an alternate line there on DraftKings. These props will also probably be available on other sportsbook as well, but again, we're using DraftKings for this parlay specifically. Now, Mixon cashes over 9 of his 17 games last season, a 53% hit rate overall with the Bengals last year, averaging 60.82 rushing yards per game. Looking at his debut, though, with the Houston Texans, obviously a really good performance last week, 159 rushing yards versus the Colts. Now, it's still to be seen if that was more about how bad the Colts' run defense is or how good Joe Mixon and this Texas rushing attack is, but like we mentioned earlier in the video, the Bears' run defense wasn't all that great last week versus the Titans either. Again, giving them over 5 yards per carry to their running backs, and Tony Pollard in particular, coming off a big injury, had 82 rushing yards on 16 carries last week. We're taking this at an alternate line to play it a little safe. Over 59.5 yards is literally more than half, like 60 rushing yards compared to the almost 160 he had last week. He could have a massive drop down in production and still cash this over. For the second leg of our 3-leg parlay, guys, we're going to go with Caleb Williams over half an interception here. That is available for minus 160 on DraftKings. Again, it's available on other sportsbooks if you want to go ahead and bet it outright. He did not throw an interception in week 1 versus the Titans. I do think this Texans defense is a better defense. I think it's a better spot here for him to throw an interception. There's not really any data to go off of because, again, he's only played 1 game in the NFL. But again, going back to that point where we're in prime time on the road in a hostile environment against a really good Texans defense, a young quarterback who, obviously had some struggles in week 1, will probably continue to struggle through the first few weeks of the season. I think he's due to throw an interception in this game for sure. Maybe multiple, definitely at least one. So a really solid leg of the parlay here. And for our third and final leg of the parlay, guys, going back to Tank Dell here, but this time we're going with his over in receptions at 3.5. It's available for minus 155 on DraftKings. Again, you can go ahead and look around for other sportsbook if you don't want to go ahead and use DraftKings here. He did cash this line at a 55% hit rate last year. 6 of 11 games last season, he cashed the over, averaging 4.27 receptions per game last year with the Texans. His average targets per game last year were at 6.8 targets per game. A really solid share there for Tank Dell. So far, obviously, in 2024, 1 game played. He had 3 receptions off of 7 targets last week against the Colts. So he did not cash this in week 1. I do feel pretty confident here in week 2. The most important thing is that we're seeing the targets there. He had 7 targets last week. CJ Stroud is still throwing to him. He still trusts Tank Dell a little bit more than maybe some of the other receivers on the team, even including Stephon Diggs here. So I do like that spot. Looking at last week, again, 7 targets on 36 passing plays. That was a 19% target share last week. I don't know. I'm just expecting a pretty solid Tank Dell here game. I think that the Bears defense is going to be all over Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs. I think it's going to open things up for Tank Dell to go ahead and get a little extra work here in this game. So I really do like the spot here. All right, guys, so that does it for today's video. A quick little recap on our straight bet section. We have Texans minus 6.5. We have the under at 45.5. We have Tank Dell, anytime touchdown score, plus 210. Again, make sure to comment Dell down below, and if he cashes, you have a chance to win a free $20 Amazon gift card. And then our 3-leg player prop parlay, plus 288 odds here. We have Joe Mixon over 59.5 rushing yards, Tank Dell over 3.5 receptions, and Caleb Williams over half an interception. So guys, that does it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, guys, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I'll be back next week with another Sunday Night Football picks video, but until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy NFL Week 2 and enjoy this solid Bears-Texans Sunday Night Football matchup. See you guys later.